Hi everybody, and welcome back to Religion and Final Fantasy. Today we're going to be talking about Final Fantasy 13. So Final Fantasy 13 was released 3 years after Final Fantasy 12. And it really continues this arc that we've been seeing of an obsession with the protagonist killing gods. We killed Sin and Yevon, we killed the Ikuria, or disobeyed them, whatever. I don't even remember if we actually killed the Ikuria or not. And I also don't remember much from Final Fantasy 13, to be honest. Final Fantasy 13, though, we do defeat the fal'Cie, and in the last game, I think Lightning also kills a god. Bunivelze. I don't know how to say his name. I've never played 13.2 or 13.3, which is not called 13.3. But I do want to talk about them anyway, because this game was conceived in this big saga altogether. You know, this Fabula Nova Crystallis, whatever it's called. The new story of the crystal, the new crystal story. All was conceived pretty much together, and so I do want to talk about it all, because the mythology is very, very deep. The religion, not so much. So again, there's a difference, right? There's a big difference between religion and mythology, which is really normal. You can read and know everything about Greek mythology, Norse mythology, and other ones, but I use Greek and Roman and Norse mostly because I know them the best, particularly Greek and Roman. But you can know everything about the mythology, about the personalities of the gods, about the stories, and not know anything about the religion. And that goes with every religion, every mythology, every set of stories about a god or gods. So this game is no exception. There's a very, very deep mythology, but really no religion, which is surprising. And the reason that it's surprising is because, like 10, the religion is very important to the daily life of people in Cocoon, which contrasts with 12, where nobody really knew what was going on with the Ikuria. In Final Fantasy 13, there was this mother god that was killed by her son, or at least banished, Bunivelze, and he, with all these Freudian issues, it gets complicated and we're just going to keep it simple. He created some other gods to help him out. Hallowed Pulse, Felinze, and Divine Etro. But even though he created all those other gods, they act very independently. He just goes to sleep because he wants to find a way to the unseen world where his mother may be. He's got a lot of issues. And so Pulse, which is actually the real world, creates the world, and somewhere in Pulse is a link to the unseen realm or the afterlife. Lindsay creates Cocoon, which is where we start the game, and it's this kind of safe haven for humans. And he's really interested in defying death and creating immortality. And then Etro is there kind of as a counterbalance to Bunivelze and wants to preserve order, and Etro's Gate is theoretically where we can go to the afterlife and find the mother goddess. And all these smaller other gods, Pulse and Lindsay, they create fal'Cie, who are even lesser gods, right? And the fal'Cie really decide that they want to find their maker. They want to awaken their maker. That is the big story behind everything. That is what drives this game. So this game is really about what they're doing, humans being along for the ride, and realizing, wait a minute, we're all gonna die. We gotta stop this. And that's kind of what happens in 13. And 13-2 and Lightning Returns. Pretty much. And so in Cocoon, which is this, well, cocoon for humans, the fal'Cie give them everything they need. So it's this quote-unquote perfect world, their needs are met, and everything like that. And the government is the sanctum, which means holy, and the fal'Cie doesn't tell the government what to do per se. The government gets to make its own laws and everything, but the sanctum is still a theocracy, still consults with the fal'Cie, and keeps those lines of communication open so that the people of Cocoon can be safe. But there doesn't seem to be any worship. Right? Even though this government is in charge, even though everybody relies on the fal'Cie, they just enjoy it. There doesn't seem to be any obligation on the part of the humans. And that's when it all starts to break down. People get branded l'Cie, meaning they have to fulfill the orders of the fal'Cie, and they realize they're being asked to destroy the world so that the human souls can open Etro's Gate and help the fal'Cie meet their maker. The humans don't want to do that. They rebel. They kill the fal'Cie. Hooray, we're saved. The same theme and the same mythology is kept in the next two games. One thing that's interesting from a religious mythological perspective is the difference in personality in Bunivelze in the Japanese versus the English version. They changed his motivation quite a lot. In the English version, he's much more black and white evil. He just wants to make humans puppets. In the Japanese version, he's more like Seymour, right? This person who killed his mother, sees the suffering of humanity, and so wants to make them forget about the dead so that they can live a happy life. It's actually very similar to the plot of Final Fantasy Type O, which is part of this same story. And I think Type O does it a lot better. I at least enjoyed playing Final Fantasy Type O a lot more than Final Fantasy XIII. Sorry, Final Fantasy XIII, but not really sorry because I'm allowed to have an opinion about a game. Especially in this video series when we're talking about religions and they don't do nothing. But the mythology is really interesting, and it picks up a lot of the same themes that we've seen before, particularly the Zoroastrian, where we have a struggle between order and chaos, but Bunivelze sees the human souls as chaotic, and that's why he hates them so much. and doesn't really want anything to do with them. And there's a bit of that Gnosticism that we've seen before, where material bodies are kind of evil, and the unseen is the good. And so the fal'Cie are kind of trying to destroy everything material so that they can get to the unseen realm, pretending like that's better, versus religions that respect body and soul unified. This one has the tension in it. But nobody is worshipping anybody or doing anything, so that's Final Fantasy XIII. Next time we'll talk about Final Fantasy XV, which had been part of the same series with 13 and Type O, and so there are similarities in terms of the structure of the mythology, and Noctis is a bit like a l'Cie, but it takes it a very different direction. So we'll see that next time.